How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the Lineage Legacy Podcast. I am your host, Francisco Aguilar. I hope everyone is having a lovely day today. Today is Sunday, May 25th. Today I have the special honor and privilege to be sitting down here with my friend, Edward Nava. Edward, I met Edward a couple weeks back, maybe a month or two now. I met him at a, what you can call it, an open house. It was kind of an invitation to real estate investors and real estate agents, breaking down the principles and fundamentals of flipping homes here in San Diego and especially Escondido. That's where we met. But we connected, man. We vibed, and man, I like this guy's energy. And again, I'm privileged to have him here in house today. Edward is a real estate professional. He's a real estate investor, wholesaler, has a marketing agency, I guess you can call it as well. But I'll let him explain that later on through the podcast. Today we're here to talk about his family history, talk about his background, talk about the plans that he has for the future. And again, here's Edward Nava, everyone. Welcome
Appreciate it,
in.
Francisco. Thank you so much. And yeah, we met at a open house with our buddy Emiliano. And it's funny because he was actually one of the first people I met that was an investor here locally in North County. Because I feel like North County is a very small pocket of investors, right? Then you have San Diego, which is like, the infrastructure of the whole economy in the entire county, right? Like anything from downtown, anything like by the schools, it's so saturated. So it's kind of cool finding these small pockets all over, like the other side of the county, North County. Then you have Temecula and other stuff like that. But yeah, it was a pleasure, man. Thank you so much, Francisco. I'm excited, and I'm in real estate investing. I have a marketing agency with my partner. She's actually from Argentina that I've never met before. So I have a couple stories about that. But yeah, thank you so much, man.
Yeah, man, we'll definitely get into those stories because it's already intriguing, man. I want to dive into that story right now, but
Sure.
we're not here for that at the moment. We're going to talk about your family and your family history.
Mhm.
So, tell us, Edward, where are you from? We're going to start with you. Where are you from? Born and raised, and then we're going to move into where your family's from, where your mom and your dad is from. But where were you born?
So born and raised in Oceanside, specifically in Tri-City Hospital. So
Okay.
it's the Tri-City like area where it's in between Oceanside, Carlsbad, and Encinitas, right? No, Vista.
Yeah.
So I've pretty much been all over North County. So I went to school in Encinitas, the entire school district. Then I moved kind of a little bit everywhere because parents had back in 2008 to 2014, the economy was just crazy. So it was just finding the cheapest spot, the most affordable, but also not too ghetto. So my parents did everything that they could to make things happen. But yeah, so my parents are from my mom's side. They're actually are from Oaxaca. But then they moved to Mexico City, and that's where my mom was raised, and then that's where she met my dad, and my dad's family is from Michoacan. So being Mexico City being the epicenter of the entire country, it's all hustle culture,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, you kind of have to just figure it out,
Yeah.
right? So my parents did their thing, then they came over. They took the risk back when there was some law. I think we were talking about it over the phone, right?
Yeah,
There was
like
some,
the working visas or
right.
the there's a word for it, and I know we mentioned it in a previous podcast with my cousin Rodolfo Aguilar. But
But you're familiar with it,
yes,
right?
there's a
So
law that allowed a lot of people to come in with the working visa.
right. So my dad did that thing. My mom, she couldn't, right? I think she was like past that or something like that, and
Mm-hmm.
she took the initiative to come over the country illegally, obviously, right? Then I was born. I was supposed to be born in TJ, but then my mom was like, "Heck no!" She was like 8 months pregnant. She was like about to give birth, and she's like, "Heck no! I'm gonna take the risk, and whatever happens, happens." And I think the first time she got caught, and then she went to like the prison.
Yeah.
And then the second time she's like, no, like, you know what, I'm gonna take a risk. If whatever happens, happens, my kid's gonna be fine with me. And then she made it past it, right? And then I was born here in Oceanside, and the rest is history. But yeah.
Dang.
Yeah.
So shout out your parents, man. What are your parents' names?
My dad's name is Gustavo Nava, and my mom's Leticia Ruiz.
Leticia Ruiz.
Leticia, yeah. It's actually her birthday in 2 days.
No way.
Yeah.
Happy birthday to her.
Shout out.
Shout out, Leticia Ruiz.
Yes, sir.
So you mentioned that your family, they meet in Mexico City?
Yeah.
They met in Mexico
I
City.
think from it was like mutual friends. So back then, from what I know, there was like this club. And this club was like back. I mean, this was like this '80s, right? Where CB radios,
Hmm.
you know, the ones they have with the truckers, and they have the little microphone, like, oh, copy that, and then they have like a little. There's a whole thing,
Not the
right?
ones that are selling tamales in the street.
No,
You know,
no,
the
no,
ones, the
no.
propane trucks that are driving by and they're like, they're selling propane on the street, not those ones.
Maybe, I don't know, but it's a kind of like a walkie-talkie, but back in the day, right? It
Okay.
was like this big metal box, and you had this remote, and you turn on the signal, and you kind of talk to your buddies, right?
Ah, okay.
It's like before, like internet, before
Yeah,
everything.
yeah.
And I guess they had like a buddy that had this club, and they were like chatting over the radio station. They're probably flirting, I don't know. And then, two and two together, and then they did their thing, right?
So they met through a walkie-talkie,
Pretty
kind
much. It
of.
was like the social media back then,
Yeah,
I assume, right?
they met through
The party line, I
the
guess. I
party
don't know.
line.
So they did their thing, right? They were obviously struggling, right? They were like in their early 20s trying to figure it out, right? And then there was this whole movement where a lot of, immigrants were going to California or United States, right? Texas, I'm sure, and other states. But yeah, they took the initiative. My mom, risked everything, and she's like, you know what, I'm gonna take the risk, and whatever happens, happens. If not, plan B is just come back home like nothing happened,
Mhm.
right? So my family does come from a lot of risk taking. And I think that's where I, kind of see myself in the position where I'm at today, just taking risk. And you know what? Whatever happens, happens.
Yeah.
And it's that mentality that you kind of need to, kind of survive at this point, right? It's like do or die.
Hmm.
Um, and I'm very blessed to have that, that trait because I think we also talked about this in the phone, right? There's traits that you inherited. Um, obviously there's a lot of people that inherit a lot of money and a lot of success from their parents, but there's also a lot of traits that help you be a better person, right? And whether those traits are either psychological or physical or emotional, right? You want to use this to your advantage because there is a lot of inheritance, whether they're from your great grandparents or grandpas or mothers or whatever, right? It's a whole lineage, and use it to your advantage, right?
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Just like you might inherit your grandfather's bad hair genes, hair genetics. Those are the visual uh, things that you can see,
Mm-hmm.
but there's a lot of things that you can't see or kind of make out of.
Sure.
Like, yeah, your traits, your skills, what kind of emotions you probably carry. Are you going to bring stress into the world from your great grandparents? Because that happens.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's studies of that that shows. Um, I think World War II veterans um, that carried their life after war with a lot of PTSD,
Yeah.
giving birth to a lot of children that later on um, didn't weren't born with PTSD to be exact, but they were born with some type of depression
Right.
or early signs of depression,
Right.
and those are kind of the things that you inherit, unfortunately. But yeah, that's on another note.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so they met back in Mexico City, and yeah, your family comes from a lot of risk taking. You obviously have taken a great amount of risk as well from
Mm-hmm.
the age that you are right now to
Mm-hmm.
doing the things that you're doing and putting yourself in the front line of you know wholesaling and talking to random people on the phone
Mm-hmm.
that you don't know who they are and they might just blow you off,
Right.
but that's a risk that you take, and yeah, that might be coming from your family.
Yeah.
um your mom's family comes from Oaxaca, right?
Yes, sir.
What was the furthest back that you were able to trace um, on your mom's side of the family?
So from what I was told, right? Because obviously I wasn't around where my mom was like, my grandma was having my mom was raising my mom as a kid. But from what I was told is that my grandma's life was very, very, below poverty, right? Where it didn't have shoes. It was everything was made by hand. The food, the tortillas, the cheese was all natural, and it's very like what do you call it? Like pretty much just living in a farm, like a very 100% agriculture.
Mhm.
Everything's just grown from the soil. Um, and my grandma just, needed to take that risk because she couldn't live in the same condition because there was this one issue with there was a lot of development going on in the area and they were trying to take all the land.
Mm.
I don't know exactly how that happened, but she went ahead and moved to Mexico City so that she can bring money back to her family. Now, I don't really know what happened. I don't know if they were able to make it out because I don't really know much of my grandma's family. It's kind of, sad, but my grandma, she just moved out. She took the risk, went to Mexico City just to figure it out, right? Like, hey, I need to help my family out in any circumstance. Like, just staying here is just, you can't compete, right,
Yeah.
with these big money companies. So she went to Mexico City, my grandma from my mom's side, right? And then that's where she met my grandpa. And from what I was told, right, my grandpa wasn't, very hustle mindset, right? He
Mm.
was very laid back. He comes from a family of comfort, right, where they just live day by day.
Yeah.
But my grandma was like, no, I came from this, and now I have this opportunity to be here, and then we're gonna figure it out together. If not, I'm gonna do it my own,
Mhm.
right? And actually, she recently passed away a couple years ago, right? And as you see, looking back, you're like, oh damn, she did all this work. She had this portfolio of other properties in Mexico City. She had this, she had that, she had this whole will, and my grandpa has nothing, right, under his name. So it's like very interesting to see how empowering women are in a lot of families, right? And it's very interesting, right? Because even back then, traditionally, especially in Mexico, it's kind of sucks, right? But there's a lot of machismo,
Mhm.
and with the machismo, their women are not supposed to, be the head of the family,
Yeah, they're not supposed to be the provider.
right? Quote unquote, right?
Mhm.
So they're supposed to just, make children, be at the house, cook, clean, and rinse, repeat, right? And it was a total opposite for her. She kind of broke that barrier and did what she had to do. She actually, and I told you this story before this this podcast today. It was kind of cool because I was able to meet her a couple times. So some days it was like on a Monday or a Sunday, she had nothing, like no money, and she's like, "Hey, look at my bolsillo, no hay nada," and I'm like, "Oh shoot," like, but we're gonna figure it out. I'm like, "Okay." Now, this is like me, like between 4 to 6 years old,
She'll
right?
tell you this.
Yeah, and I
Mhm.
would see, I'm like, "Oh, well, we don't have money,
Right.
what are we gonna do?" She's like, "Look," and then so what she would do is with me, she would collect these plastic bottles, if not like empty beer cans, glass, and it would be a whole day of work, right? Just getting these plastic bags, just filling them up, and I would help her too. And looking back, this was a lesson. For me, I was like, man, this thing sucks.
Yeah.
I'm trying to use my homies, my family. But it was a lesson looking back, right? So we collected like, between 6 to 10 bags, whatever, depending the day, right? And she's like, okay, we didn't have money to make more money, so what we had to do is use our time and our energy, right, and our resources. So she collected all these bags. She sold them off to this. I don't really know where she sold them off, but she sold them off,
Like a
right?
recycling center?
I assume,
Yeah.
right? And she had this money. Like, hey, look, we made this amount. I'm like, oh, cool. Like, she's like, okay, I'm gonna take a percentage so we can go out and eat because we need to eat, right, and get some water. We can use the other percentage, this other portion, to reinvest it. So she would buy these candies in bulk, right? And with this candies in bulk, she's like, okay, if this is gonna cost us, just for example, $20, and there's 20 candy bars. Each candy bar, if we sell them for $2, we can 2x our money. So that way we don't have to. Do you want to collect bags all day again? I'm like, no, that was horrible, right? I
Yeah.
was a little kid. She's like, okay, well, this is how you double up. Obviously in Spanish, right? I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, okay. So we did it in a matter of a day. We sold all the candy and then rinse and repeat. And then she started reinvesting it back her money. And that's how she had her business. So
Mhm.
she started a little business. She had a little cart where she sold tortas. Like not the woman, but the tortas. She sold these tortas, right? And it was kind of genius because she found this opportunity where a lot of people were leaving hungry out of these government hospitals, right? It was like government funded. It was I think it was like a free, clinic, whatever. And people would wait hours just to be there, right? Because it's government. Anything government takes a long time. So people would be in the lines for 6, 10 hours a day for a checkup or whatever, and then people would leave hungry. So she would have her stand right outside of the hospital, the clinic, and people would just come in and out, in and out, in and out. And that entrepreneurship kind of led me to be that way.
Mm.
I mean, I saw it at early
Mhm.
early age. I'm like, oh man, like you can provide and you can. It's an act of service. You're finding a problem, and with that problem, you create a solution.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and from an early age, right, I was able to see that, and not to an extent where she made millions, right? It was just to meet ends meet,
and
right?
it sounds like she was like adapting to her environment,
Mm-hmm.
like whether it was adapting to making or selling the cans and getting candy bars,
Mm-hmm.
or finding the strategy to or the strategic way to post outside a hospital. Like, she knows people are going to be hungry, she knows
Right.
that people are going to be waiting, and they got to eat,
Yeah.
and who else is going to be there? No one else. So she's like, I'm going to post up my food cart right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, she sounds like a hustler
I
for
mean,
sure.
it's kind of
Well,
genius,
she is a
right?
hustler.
Because
Yeah,
you could use
was.
that same method for anything else, right? It's like, okay, if I see traffic here, why not just put a little stand and see whoever comes,
Mhm.
right? Same thing with real estate, same thing with construction business, right? If you want to, I mean, I think here, especially here in the States, bro, there's so many opportunity, right? And then with that, you kind of get stressed out because you don't know what to do with it, right? So just by putting yourself out there and seeing what your niche is or seeing what you're working with, your resources, your value, your culture, what people can relate to, that's what sells,
Mhm.
right? So I think that was a really good learning opportunity. And, my mom had that same mindset. I'm sure she learned from the same thing. Um, and then from my dad's side, right, it's a whole different story.
I wanna stick on your mom though, real
Let's
quick.
do it.
Let's get your grandma's name. What's your grandma's name? I mean, because she has to be remembered, man. She was a hustler.
My grandma's name from my mom's side, I don't, she had like a big name
What'd you
because
guys call her?
just Nana.
Nana.
Yeah,
Okay.
and Nana, and because you know how Mexican families they have, or Mexican people, to be honest, they have like 20 different names.
Yeah.
Jose Antonio Miguel,
Yeah.
right? And I'm like, I don't even know what your name is,
Yeah. Like,
right?
I just calling you
Junior, senior, and then we just,
abuelita.
yeah, like from my dad's side, her name was Yaya,
Hmm.
right? And we
And
just
that
called her Yaya,
and that
right?
probably was not her real name.
No, it's just a nickname, right? So, and especially in like Mexico, right? Everyone has nicknames.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of effed up, but
Yeah.
everyone just had nicknames, right? Out of love. But yeah, my grandma did her thing, and just sticking to my mom's side, right? Um,
And how many kids did your grandma have? How many parents? Or sorry, how many siblings does your mom have?
three.
Three.
So one aunt and one uncle and my mom. So three.
Okay. And your mom being the youngest one out of the three,
She was the oldest.
the
The
oldest.
oldest, and then the uncle was the middle child, and the aunt was the youngest. Yeah.
So your mom being the oldest, obviously she was the one getting the firsthand lessons and experiences of your grandma hustling.
Right.
Like, your grandma was not gonna let your mom get off the hook easy. She's
Right.
like, you're my daughter. I'm gonna teach you this. You gotta survive out here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it sounds like she also, obviously she's a risk taker, but it sounds like when she made the move from Oaxaca to Mexico City, back in those days, it must have been maybe like the 60s, 50s. Who knows? I don't know how old your grandma was.
Maybe even earlier, maybe like 40s,
Mm.
right? Because my mom was born in 1975, so I'm sure there was like some sort of transition, some period where, they met my grandpa and then they did this and whatever, right? So maybe like the 50s, maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
or late 50s or early 60s. It might
maybe.
have been.
Uh huh.
But back in the day, if she was living in Oaxaca, um, Oaxaca is going to be southern part of Mexico, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
So, and a little bit more indigenous.
Right.
So when people move and they're going to take that big risk, they are probably not familiar, or they don't know anything about anything bigger than Mexico City. Back in the day, I'm sure Mexico City was like, that's where we need to go. That's where we're going to make money. That's where we're going to
Survive.
survive. There
Yeah.
wasn't anything probably more than Mexico City,
Right.
especially because there wasn't any internet, there wasn't any maybe maps accessible, and it's education as well to learn how to read a map, or
Hmm.
find yourself exploring bigger than Mexico City.
Right.
So it's not like back in the day your great grandma or your grandma was gonna come to the United States. Maybe she didn't even know about United States back in the day. You
Maybe
know,
not. Yeah.
I mean that could be the reality.
Right.
Um, so, well, your grandma, do you know what part of Oaxaca? Um,
I have no clue.
No,
From what I was told, it was like not a main city. It was just I should probably
a
ask
little
that,
town.
but yeah, just a little farm field, and everyone kind of knew each other, like a pueblo,
Yeah,
and it was very conservative, secluded from everything else.
this was before Oaxaca was popular.
Oh yeah, there was no surf towns, no nothing.
No, like mezcal tours and mole tours as people like to do and go for nowadays.
Right.
Um, so no, that's amazing. So your mom being the oldest one out of three, how many you're and being out of two girls and one guy, you have any cousins that you know of
Uh,
from your tia, your tío?
yeah. So I mean, they're younger because
Okay.
obviously they were younger siblings, but I think one of them's like 18, 19. I think she's heading to college, so it's kind of cool seeing that, right?
Hmm.
There's our generation's breaking that cycle.
Yeah.
So she's going to college. I think the my cousin, I think he's like 4 or 5 years old.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think it's setting a good example because I was the first one, right? Because my mom was the oldest. So from previous conversations, because I would see my cousins here and there, right? And it was cool because they would see me as this almost like a good example, right? Like, oh, if he could do it, I could do it,
Yeah.
right? Sometimes they would call me and ask me questions like, "Oh, what do you think about this?" And there's no fast one in Mexico. Everything
Mm,
you kind of have to, figure it out, and if you kind of have to put some years before you graduate, right, to head into college
yeah.
because it's a privilege. It's not like an opportunity like here, right?
Yeah.
It's not like, hey, just work hard and you get here. It's more like, hey, this is just for an upper class kind of individuals, or hey, you need to be some sort of level, whatever. But it's a privilege
Yeah.
go to college out there. Um, so I'm super excited for them. But yeah, I think it does take some generations to break that cycle. It's not overnight for sure.
No.
Hmm.
So, and we were talking earlier. All your family from your mom's side, including that uncle and that aunt,
Uh-huh.
they're all in Mexico.
Correct.
Yeah.
They're
So
still out
so
there.
they stay in Mexico. So
Hmm.
shout out to them. So we know what happened with your grandma. Met your grandpa in Mexico City, and that's where she got together with your grandpa. Had your mom
Hmm.
have those three, and then let's dive into a little bit about your dad.
Okay.
Yeah, let's what do you know about your dad and your grandparents?
It's funny. So the earliest memory that I was told, right, was how my grandma and my grandpa met from my dad's side, right? Was my grandpa was sitting at the bus and my grandma was hopping in the bus, and I think it was just like it was a packed bus, but she went all the way back because you need to hold on to the rails or
Hmm.
else you fall off. And while she's holding off, she saw this gentleman, right? And I mean, in Mexico, you got to be polite. Sometimes you got to offer your seat, especially if it's a woman or a pregnant lady,
Hmm.
an older man. And he just not did not give up his seat. He was being a little prick. And my grandma was like, "Oh, I mean, like, can I take a seat?" And he was like, "No, like I've been here all day." And I don't know what there was some sort of friction that they both kind of just fell for it. That's what I was told. And people, I mean, even my family, like, oh, why'd you go with my grandpa? She's like, I don't know, but excuse my language, but pendeja.
Yeah,
And she regrets it, but obviously, it's my grandpa. So I don't know what happened, but they just kicked it off. They made it a bust, right?
she liked the guy that stood up for
I
himself
guess
or
so,
stood down
right?
for him,
Like, oh,
sat down for
you're
himself.
right. I guess so. So, sure, they went a couple days or whatever, right? And after that, they had the first son, which was my uncle. His name was Ernesto, and then from then on, it was my aunt Leticia. Not my mom, but my aunt. Her name is also Leticia. And then my dad, and then the youngest sibling was Hector. It's crazy because so as you know, or as what you would have assumed, my grandma and my grandpa separated
Mhm.
once they had their last child. And by that time, the oldest sibling, my uncle Ernesto, he's like, you know what, I'm done. So he took the rest and went to the States first because I think he was already at age like between 16 or 18, whatever, right? So he moved out, and then he was doing pretty good, right? He found a solid job, and I think he still works for the company for this till this day. the first ever job. Um, and then my sister followed my uncle's footsteps, and she went over there too.
Your sister?
My
I thought you said
aunt,
your oh,
so
his
his
sister.
sister,
Yes.
right? And then my dad did the same thing, and the other sibling that from their family that stayed was my uncle Hector. So they all took the same risk. Like, hey, you know what? There's this opportunity. We're all gonna take it. Um, it's crazy because from what I was told too, that my the oldest uncle Ernesto, when he moved out to the States, he didn't know anyone. It was just him. Imagine like being 17, moved to a different country, right?
And he left his family back in
Left
Mexico.
everyone,
Yeah.
right? Just to figure it out. And the story is that not to punish, to blame or shame, right? But he lived in the hills by himself. He had no home. He had no shelter. He didn't know English, so he just lived in like a hill. Like, and he said there would be like rats and like random creatures just sneaking up on him, and he lived like that for like a month. So obviously being 16, 17, 18, whatever, living in the hills must be shitty, right? Imagine leaving your family, now you're living out here homeless. And then he found a job and everything went pretty well. And, my aunt followed his footsteps, and then my dad. And then the only one that stayed was my Uncle Hector to stay with my grandma.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. Um, and he stayed there, right? He had a good life. It was just him and her, and they figured it out together. But no, yeah, from my dad's side, they all took the risk. They all went over there, and then once they separated, my grandma, my grandpa, they did their own things. Um, we all have a good relationship now. Like I said, my grandma recently passed away. Like I say, like 5, 6 years ago.
Hmm.
So right now we only have our grandpa, and it's kind of the only thing we got,
Your
right?
grandpa on your
My
dad's
dad's
side.
side, yeah.
Yeah.
The
That separated with your grandma back in the
Correct.
day.
And they also talk to him, right? Obviously, they have some sort of hatred, right? Like,
A little
man, what
resentment.
you, right? But I mean, it's their dad,
Hmm.
right? So, I'm so cool with him, right? He talks highly of me, so we can't betray family, right?
Right.
Whatever happens, happens. So, anyways, they all took the risk, and they all came here when they were like in their teens, and they kind of hustled their way through. My aunt is studied, and she was a nurse, and then same thing with my dad. He tried studying, but he reached to a level where he just kept working, like any Mexican dad, right?
Hmm.
Just kept working, kept working, kept working, and built everything brick by brick, right? We rented, and then he figured out how to buy a home from all his earnings, and then from then on, progressed, right, with my mom, and then so my dad, he went back to Mexico uh, when he was so he came to the United States when he was a teenager. Then he came back. I don't know what year exactly, but that's when my brother was born. I have a half brother,
Hmm.
and he took him back to the States too. And then there was some sort of confliction, and my dad ended up separating with my brother's baby mama
Hmm.
or
Oh,
mom, right?
yeah.
Yeah, my brother's mom, so his baby mama. Um, and then they separated, but obviously nothing bad against the kid. It was just conflict.
Yeah.
And
And
that's
that
when
was back in Mexico City.
right, and that's when my dad went back to Mexico City and met my mom,
Mm.
and then they went to transition. Then I was born, if I'm not mistaken, like 15 years later.
Hmm.
So there was a point where my dad kept coming in and out, in and out,
Yeah.
in and out, right? Um, I have a really cool relation with my brother, right? It's kind of cool because I grew up an only child. He grew up an only child.
Oh,
It's
really?
like, oh, cool, what's up, bro?
Yeah.
We the only ones that we have.
And he's a
Um,
guy. You're a guy.
oh
It would
yeah,
be different if it was a girl.
interesting. My brother too. He's also an entrepreneur.
Oh, really?
So he is a dentist.
Hmm.
He's a dentist. He's got his own firm, and he's also a professor at a college called UNAM,
Yeah, that's a
which
big.
is like a Harvard out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like 1% only make it through. It's all government funded, but it's like a very prestigious college.
Yeah.
Um, and he's got his own thing too. He's living the life at 35 years old, right?
Nice.
So I'm like, oh, you're a cool role model. Like, you're cool, bro. Like, let's hang out. And the past like 2 to 3 years, ever since I've been like 21, I've just been hanging out with him. So it's a new connection. I'm like, oh, like I never knew I could have a brother or this experience, and it's pretty fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's your brother's name?
Giovanni.
Giovanni.
Giovanni. Yeah.
Giovanni
Yeah, Giovanni, and he got my dad's middle name, Gustavo
Nava.
Ortiz Ruiz, Ortiz Nava. Yeah,
Hmm.
Ortiz being his mom's last name.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Shout
Uh-huh.
out Giovanni.
Giovanni. Yeah,
Giovanni, and
Mr.
he lives in
Giovanni.
Mexico.
Mexico City.
Mexico
Yeah.
City. He's a dentist in Mexico City.
Yes, sir. Uh-huh.
Nice.
Yeah.
Unam, where is that? Is that in Mexico City? Where's that school?
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay.
He drove me around and everything kind of looked the same, but yeah, from what I was told, like near Mexico City.
Yeah, that and this is a school that has a very well known soccer team too.
The
The
Pumas.
Pumas.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, everyone knows, everyone in Mexico knows the Puma soccer team.
Yeah, there's a couple teams like that. I think Tigres is like that too, no?
It's a
I think
university.
it's Nayarit or I don't know which cities, but yeah, Tigres is also like a collegiate school.
Hmm.
I think it's I forgot what it is, but yeah.
Yeah, it's I believe, yeah, it's Mexico City.
Hmm.
I'm looking at it right now. So shout out shout out your grandma, your grandpa doing it on their side. Obviously they couldn't make it work, but they had your uncles and your dad that early on took the risk as well. I mean, they were really risk takers as well. I mean, you had your uncle that was living, that came over here, living in the mountains, trying to find work, trying to hustle. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't salute to them because I don't know if I would be able to do that.
Hell no.
No,
I would not live in a mountain right now.
no, no. Especially with these fires that are going on, man, they'll
Yeah, I'm
put me
like,
in jail for
no,
arson.
stay my ass at a job. I'll work at Popeyes or something.
Yeah,
Figure it out.
but the risk that they were taking, and the way that, like, I've interviewed mostly everyone that I've interviewed up to this point has
Mhm.
been has been of Mexican descent. So,
Cool.
and I am as well. So we all have stories of how our family came here,
Hmm.
and the only reason we are here at this moment is because our family took a risk at a point in time in their life.
Exactly.
Whether they had uh, a little bit of backing from a sibling or from a parent to take that risk, or some type of money that backed them up or not.
Uh-huh.
They took a risk going into a different country,
Yeah.
not knowing what is on the other side waiting for them, not knowing what kind of opportunities or what kind of failures they're gonna uh, pass by. This has really kind of led up to as well where you are now,
Hmm.
and taking that risk and taking that initiative, because obviously you're not going to go to another country and take the risk. Now you know
I mean,
everything
I'd
you
be
got to
down.
do. Right. I mean, you might be down.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say you won't, but
No, I get what you mean.
what,
Yeah,
yeah, like now there's different risks to take, and there's different um tasks that you'll put in front of you.
yeah. Hmm.
It's not gonna be the same kind of risk, I guess, is what I'm gonna
Exactly.
say. It's
Yeah.
not gonna be jumping. It's not gonna be, jumping over a wall and taking that kind of risk, but it is gonna be a entrepreneur or a business risk that you're gonna take.
Right.
Um, so yeah, I mean, that those are kind of the things that we were referring back to earlier, is you inherit those kind of traits.
Right. And
Yeah.
it's kind of cool, right? Because I think the risks that we take today, right? Like we're not. I was never put in a position where I didn't have like food for a week, right? Or I
Hmm.
wasn't put in a position where I couldn't go to school for a certain period of time. Like there were my mom and my dad figured it out, and because of their help, I'm able to do the things I'm able to do today. Right.
Hmm.
Obviously, we didn't have millions of dollars, or we weren't. Everything was earned from working hours, right? And then from then on, I think I saw all the sacrifices they made. And I'm like, okay, well, why do I want to stay in this path, right? And this path that's secured. Because let me go back, right? So one of my first ever jobs, I worked for the city of Carlsbad, right? It's here locally town. And it's a good position, bro. I mean, government pay, benefits, it's everything you want,
Pension, probably
right?
everything.
And,
Yeah.
especially the first round of interviews, it was like against 10 other people. They're all like suits and they're all like 30, 40 years old. I was 17. I came through with a skateboard, right? Just
Hmm.
slick back here. I'm like, hey, I'm looking for a job, and I got the job for some reason. I'm like, okay, cool.
What was the job?
It was a what was the title? It was a Parks and Recs like transaction coordinator, something like that. Um,
And what made you look for that job, or did you?
I just
How'd you
needed
find
a
it?
job and I found it on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Yeah, and they hit me up and they're like, "Hey, we're doing first rounds. Come through and set your appointment." I'm like, "Okay, cool." And I'll touch base on our narrative that we're talking about, right? But I got the job, and once I got the job, it was cool for the first month, and then COVID hit, and then there was this whole process where I didn't really work, and they were still paying me. It was a sweet gig, but once I came back to the office, I'm like, okay, so if I work hard enough, I'm gonna take his position, and if I work hard enough on that position, I take that guy's position. And I'm like, do I really want to be here?
Mhm.
It's like you already saw your future. So I'm like, maybe I should look into other options, take the risk, and figure it out, right? And that's when I quit,
Mhm.
right? Like 2 or 3 years later. Um, but yeah, it's all about taking the risk, bro. It's
Yeah.
all about taking the risk. I think especially for a lot of entrepreneurs that are the type of people that are going to be interviewing, it's like they see what they have just by following this pathway, but then the curiosity hits like, oh, what if I do this, right?
Mhm.
And I'm pretty sure that's what our parents went through as well. I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, I could stay here. I can, help my family. But what if I do this?
Mhm.
Right?
Like I heard, or for us nowadays, it's seeing on Instagram or YouTube
Uh huh.
entrepreneurs that are on jets or that are, you know, eh, kind of living free of time. They're vacationing or whatever.
Yeah.
But back in the day, it's just by like hearing or seeing people come back from the United States with money and providing for their family, and like,
Hmm.
okay, that's the move.
Yeah.
Um, but I do want to take it back and take it back to your parents. We've
Sure.
gone through your grandparents. We've gone through both sides, your mom, your dad. But your parents, um, when they had you, when your mom had you on this side, um, you guys landed here in San Diego because your dad had siblings that were here in San Diego.
Right.
And you were telling me in a previous conversation
Hmm.
that your mom is also an entrepreneur. She's
Hmm.
also a hustler. She has or had, maybe
Hmm.
she still has it, you correct me on that, a cleaning business.
Hmm.
And she has at a young age you were doing some entrepreneurial stuff
Hmm.
that not a lot of people were doing it.
Hmm.
And you were put in that position, I guess, out of survival or out of just nature.
Hmm.
It wasn't like, "Hey, mom, can I go with you? Can I do
Right.
this? Can I go?" So talk about a little bit about that moment in life. I don't want to say it what it is. I want you to
Sure.
tell us what it
Okay. So,
was.
so I'll take it back. Right. So my mom, one of her first jobs was working at Taco Bell. This was in Encinitas. So so the reason why I grew up in Encinitas is because the job that my dad got when he came to this country, I think he had like a couple waiter jobs and stuff like that, but one of the first actual gigs that offered stability, it was a self storage company. Until this day he still works for them. Right. I
Okay.
think he's been working with them for like 30, 40 years. And at that time there was this little like attic on top of the facility, and it had everything. It had a little kitchen, it had a little bathroom, and like 2 bedrooms, like same thing like downstairs. It was a weird layout,
Hmm.
but it was like a little attic, and they gave it to my dad pretty much for free.
Yeah.
Just like, yeah, just stay there, just take care of everything and do like night security. My dad's like, cool, I'll take it. No rent, I mean.
Yeah.
My dad couldn't afford anything. um so we lived there, and then my mom took a position at Taco Bell, and miserable hours, right? She had the midnight shift. She couldn't talk any English. It was, one of her first jobs. But with that money, she was able to start a business. I still remember to this day, I was like 5 or 10. No, it was like 5 or 6 years. No, it was like 7 or 8 years old,
Hmm.
right? This was before the 2008 crash, because I remember when it happened too.
Yeah.
So this was before that, and then my mom, she went on Vistaprint.com, and this old computer, right? It was like those like big back computers.
Yeah.
She looked at Vistaprint with my dad, and she started printing these business cards for. She's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna start a cleaning business." And I remember they were showing me these slides. She was like, "What do you think is better?" I'm like, I don't know, maybe this one. I was 6, right? I'm like,
Yeah.
this one's cool. This one's cool. And they went with the layout that I picked. And like a week or two later, they came through the mail. I think she told me it was like 20 or $40. And back then, $40, that's like a whole like trip to the grocery store.
Yeah.
So she got a bunch of these business cards, and she's like, okay, let's do it. I'm like, what does do what? She's like, okay, so we're gonna go into this area, and I'm gonna start a cleaning business. Like, okay. She's like, yeah. So, and we would door knock together just I assume for me to like get confidence, but she didn't know any English.
Yeah.
So she like
She would leverage you.
she did everything she could with the 5 words she knew: yes, no, please, and cleaning.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Yes, cleaning. I hear car and call me, and
Right.
that's it.
Yeah.
And I'd be there just to listen. She's like, okay. She's like, well, it's all a numbers game. I'm like, okay. And she's like, if we knock 100 doors, and if one of them answer back, that's a good day, because that's reoccurring business, right? You don't
Mm-hmm.
just clean a house once; you clean it multiple times. Back then, I didn't know what was going on. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I'll do whatever you say. And at the end of the day, she would reward me, because down the street from the neighborhoods that we'd walk or door knock, there was this Target, and at Target there was like a slushy machine. I was like, oh, okay, so I gotta make ends meet with her. So we would door knock, and then I got a little bit of confidence, and I would start door knocking on my own. And this, being in mind, I was like between 7 to 9 years old, from what
Mm-hmm.
I remember. And then one of the ladies, everyone rejected us, 'cause we didn't know any English. I'm like, oh, come back later, or we have a cleaner already. And
And
one
what area were you guys door knocking?
Encinitas, because we lived
Encinitas?
out there, right?
Okay.
We walked everywhere. We didn't have no car, no nothing. We walked everywhere. This was like maybe like 4 blocks down where we lived at, because these were nice homes. And the last door that we door knocked, um, so my mom would tell me I didn't like wearing shoes. I don't know, for some reason,
You
as a
didn't
little
like
kid,
wearing
I
shoes?
didn't like wearing shoes. I would always go barefoot. And then I went barefoot. I took them off. I think I lost the shoes. I would lose a bunch of shoes.
Or you throw them
Yeah, I
away?
just throw them away, and I would forget about them. And then I went up to this older lady, her house, and I'm like, oh yeah, so my mom, like, she's looking for jobs and whatever, and here's her card. I remember I gave it to her. And then the lady's like, oh, you know what? I'm actually looking for a cleaner. And I didn't really know what to do.
Yeah, you're
I
like,
was
oh.
like, oh. And then I ran out. I'm like, one second. And I ran outside, like, Mama. And then she's like, oh, hi. And like, oh, like,
So she was
she's
letting you do it by
interested.
by yourself.
Yeah, because she would door knock the other doors.
Oh,
Think about
okay.
them. And she like ran through the gate with me. And then we did our little pitch, hey, we're trying to do this and this. To this day, she's still one of her like #1 clients.
Really?
Yeah.
She still cleans for her.
It's been like 15, 20 years. Still
Wow.
cleans for her. The first ever client. Um, what's her name? I know the daughter's name is Sarah, but I forgot what the lady's name was. But super cool, right? She was going through a divorce at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, the husband died,
Mm.
and she was a single mom, and she needed all the help that she could.
Mm-hmm.
So what? My mom ended up getting the job. That was her first client. Um, and that lady was rich. So every Christmas she would see me, because she saw me without shoes. So I think, from what I remember, the time that I door knocked was like in October, because that was during Halloween time. And then she felt really bad, so during Christmas she gave me a whole like outfit.
Yeah, whole
Yeah,
wardrobe.
like Lego set. She gave me everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
You're
then
like, I have these at home, but I'll take them.
no, I have nothing. This was like
No, you had shoes.
oh no, because I kept losing them.
Oh, well,
So
yeah.
I had like one. Sometimes some weeks I had no shoes, right? Because I kept losing them. My mom was like, "Those were like $40 or pay less," and my dumbass just kept losing them. So and I got in trouble a lot in school for not wearing shoes
Mm-hmm.
when I was me like in elementary school, right? So she gave me a whole wardrobe, and these were brands that I've never seen before. I was like, "Damn, what's Puma? What's Nike?" I'm like, I don't know, but it fits,
Nike.
right? And from that moment, I saw that just by setting these we kept door knocking, right? Because it worked. So we went to different neighborhoods. Obviously we were just tired, it was sunny days. um and then the moments kept building up, and from that I saw that referrals and consistent door knocking kept the business going, my mom's business. So that first lady referred us to two other clients, and that's where it kept growing. And then from those two clients, more clients referred to us. And then from the door knocking, other people would follow up with us like, "Hey, I'm still interested in cleaning," and it just kept growing.
Mm-hmm.
My mom then had like between 10 to 15, referrals, and then she started building her own team. She's like, "I can't take on all these houses," so she would bring up her friends. Some friends would do some of their own houses, and they would do it together. And from then on, I would help out,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then I remember I printed out this magnet for the car, and it was like the cleaning business, like little like magnet you just stick in the car on the car door, and that also attracted a lot of business too. So it was a hustle.
Yeah.
It was like one of my first hustles that I helped my mom. And from then on, as a kid, I didn't really like school. Like I would always be a problematic kid
Yeah.
to the point where between like first grade to third grade, the teachers would always call my mom because I was bothering other kids. I always just love to talk,
Yeah.
like
And
yap.
throw
I
and
guess
throw
is
your
the
shoes
saying of
out.
it, right? Yap. Oh yeah, I would always forget my shoes in my backpack, and that's why teachers would always get like mad at me. I'm like, I don't know, I just forgot it, and then I would just always love to play
Yeah.
and just talk and be disruptive to an extent, right? I wasn't like bullying or anything, but I was just like I just hated school, and so I didn't never really like school, but I had a school counselor. Her name is Miss Critchlow. And she helped me kind of just like focus,
Mm-hmm.
like because all the teachers would tell me I needed to be on like medication, like on the ADHD
Mm.
pills. Probably did. I don't know. Like
I mean, if
I have
you're not
like
on them now, you're
20.
good.
I have like 20 ideas every day, consistently, right? So she kind of helped me just steady down because she saw me like being everywhere. And I would tell her like, yeah, like I'm working with my mom, and somehow I would clean the houses too with her. And she's like, oh, that's like child labor, you can't be doing that. You can't be telling people. So she kind of like gave me the proper like structure to be like a good kid
Yeah.
because I didn't know how to be a good kid. I
And you were the
just
only child too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was just working with my parents, and then the only time I get to socialize, be with friends, be a kid is at school, and I would always get yelled at by other teachers. So I wasn't really a normal kid until like fourth or fifth grade, right? And I'm like, oh, okay, you have to do this. You got to sit down. You can't be just like yelling. And then, back to my mom's hustle. That's where she kept growing the business, and I would be going to school, and she's like, oh, maybe you shouldn't be too much working. I got this now.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when she kept growing her little team. And then I transitioned to middle school and high school and everything else. But I always had this idea where, like, okay, if my parents are doing it, then why? And I'm sure they want me to be this person, engineer or doctor or whatever. I'm like, but I know how to. I figured out the business model. Like, why do I want to work for someone else if I know how to do it?
Mm-hmm.
You know. Um. Then
Like mom, you showed me.
right. I'm like,
Why do
it's
you
your
want me to do?
fault.
Why do you want me to do something else when you showed me what works?
Exactly. So, and I'm kind of jumping all over the place, right? But it'll come back. But elementary school, middle school, high school. High school, I did horrible. I graduated with a 2.1 GPA. I wasn't supposed to graduate, but I ended up graduating somehow. I don't know. It's a miracle. But I had an avid teacher that I don't know what she did. Maybe she filled out some paperwork or corrected my grades somehow, put some white out, and I went to college, Cal State San Marcos. And she was like, "Yeah, well, I mean, what do you want to major?" I'm like, "I don't even know, like business, I guess. That's the
You
only
didn't
thing I
have the
know."
idea of even going to
Yeah,
college.
no, not really. I'm like, I'm just gonna figure it out. Even in my yearbook, when I was like 17 years old, it says finesse to success.
Mm.
'Cause I always knew like this is whatever everyone wants me to do. I have this other path, and I'm gonna
Finesse your way.
finesse my not I mean, finesse is very like black and white because it's bad.
Right.
The best guy's this bad.
Or good.
Right, or this good, right? But finesse for me, it was like, okay, you buy low and sell high,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or you find a problem, then you create a solution.
Mm-hmm.
The other finesse, right?
Good at finesse.
It's a middleman, exactly. So, and I was 17, I was dumb, right? I thought it was funny too. And then I went to school, and then COVID started. So my freshman year, my first year into second semester, It was either February or March of 2020, and that's where COVID started. And my whole college experience was just a mess, going hybrid online classes, these Zoom calls, and I was like, I'm not learning anything. So I dropped out. Um, Obviously, when you drop out, telling your Mexican parents is like the worst thing. They would much rather, you tell them that you had kids with two different girls, right?
Yeah,
Like
honestly.
dropping out of school is the absolute worst. You're a bum. You're a drug dealer. Like, what are you doing, right? Like, you are the worst of the worst.
Like the family's life was depending on
I
you.
mean, yeah, imagine all the sacrifices they did, and it's like it's all gone to waste.
Yeah.
So I dropped out of school, but I'm like, I have this plan. I'm just gonna figure it out. I didn't know nothing about real estate, didn't know about nothing, right? I just dropped out, and then this was a time where I started dating a girl, um, and she was on her way to graduate.
Hmm.
I'm like, okay, you graduate. My mom likes you, so you be this project child of the what do you call it, like the favorite child, I guess.
Yeah.
What do you call it, like that? And I'll just be the degenerate that figures it out my own way, and then we're gonna grow together.
You're like, take my place for my mom, please.
Exactly,
Like,
and she was cool with it, right? And she's like, okay, cool. And then I did my thing. I dropped out. I kept hustling, and I started off a sales job. I'm like, oh, okay, this seems oddly familiar, because that sales job I was door knocking.
what kind of cells?
It was like a solar. It was under a solar company, but I was doing their finances.
Hmm.
So I was doing their loan approvals. So there would be solar reps that would pitch them solar, and then I would be the one pretty much closing them on the financing. Because there was like three different finances. There's the finance, and then there's the cash, and then there's the like some sort of like lease option.
Hmm.
Um, and then from then I'm like, this is oddly familiar. I did this as a kid, just going door to door. So I'm like, what if I just figured it out on my own and started my own business? And it's crazy because how I got into everything. One of the doors that we knocked, there was a kid that came out. His name was Victor Murillo.
Hmm.
And he was like us in our early 20s, middle, late 20s, whatever. And I'm like, hey, I was hoping to speak with the owner of this property. He's like, technically I am the owner. I'm like, no, you're not. Stop lying, right? I'm like, no, I mean, technically I am, but it's very temporary because I am an investor. I fix and flip properties. I'm like, fix and flip properties? What do you mean? Like, yeah, I bought this house when it was ugly. Here are the photos, and I put some capital, and then I was able to bring a crew in, fix it up, and now you're able to resell it for a profit and look on for the next property. I'm like, that's pretty cool, bro. Like, how'd you get into this? He's like, well, I just started when I was young. And I was able to relate to him. I'm like, oh, if he can do it, maybe let me figure out this other route. And he's like, yeah, man, homie, you can come to one of our other real estate meetups and see what's up. Um, he's still in the business. He's a good friend of mine. And I went to one of his brokers meetups, and that's where I got introduced to real estate and everything else, right? So that's where I took the leap of faith to quit everything, and I broke a lot of friendships because I'm like, this is gonna take everything out of me,
Hmm.
right? Now I'm able to relate to what my parents did, right? You kind of have to leave everything behind
It's
to
kind of
start
a
this
full
new
circle.
chapter, right? Um, but yeah, I think my mom did bring a lot of value, right, in that sort of sense. And like you said in a phone call, sometimes the women in our family do take a really big part of our lives, and we don't really realize it, right?
Hmm.
Obviously, our dads very grateful for everything they've done. My grandpa's, everyone, but I think our moms are able to, kind of take that leap of faith and see, hey, maybe the grass is greener on the other side. Um, and I was able to do that, Especially, I didn't have no role models, have no one to counsel me. I'm just like, hey, this seems cool. Let's figure it out. Um, but yeah, I think because of my family's trajectory, I was able to do what I'm doing now, and it's very cool to see and relate because it sacrifices everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's a full circle moment. Um, like you ended up going 100% into entrepreneurship,
Uh-huh.
into hustling, and relating back to your grandparents, to your mom, to what you initially learned at a young age. And shout out to that dude. I don't know him personally, but I've
Hmm.
heard of him, Victor.
Victor, yeah.
Yeah, shout out to him because I mean it's you wouldn't have met him if you didn't door knock
Uh-huh.
that neighborhood, and you wouldn't have door knocked if your
Exactly.
mom didn't do that with you, or you didn't do it with your mom.
Right.
Like it's just a whole cycle, and
Exactly.
everything happens for a reason. I am truly a believer of that.
Right.
I, I'm I believe highly that that God won't put you through anything that you don't believe, and I mean
Exactly.
that goes through anything, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's personal and external friendships and whatnot.
Mhm.
But shout out to you for taking that initiative, taking that leap of faith that you're like, hey, I'm gonna go all in on this, and
Mhm.
and just
Mhm. I feel like you
shoot
need
for
to,
it.
right? Because at some point you get a little bit comfortable,
Hmm.
right, with what you're doing, whether it's like starting a new job opportunity or staying with same friend groups. And sometimes I get jealous, right? I'm like, because sometimes some people have like these friendships that are really cool and they've been with them since kindergarten. Like, man, I wish I had a friend group like that, right? Because I look at my old friend group and nothing against them, right? But it's just not the same path that I want to take.
Hmm.
Same what they're doing. Um, but some friend groups, I mean, they're killing it, right? Like, hey, he's been my homie since little kids, and now we're doing this and we're doing this. So I get jealous because I'm like, damn, I did it on my own.
Hmm.
It would have been cool to have someone with me, but sometimes life doesn't offer that, and you kind of just have to do it on your own.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but all that goes into now. I think you can probably be that role model to someone else.
definitely.
Like you're not coming up with your best friend. Maybe you're not working side by side with someone that you've known for years.
Hmm.
But that only reinforces your solo entrepreneurship, where you can later on share that with dozens, hundreds, and thousands of people
Right,
without really needing to rely on anyone else.
right,
Like if you were to do it with someone for years that you've known, it's
right.
just you're building everything from the bottom up, brick by brick, layer by layer.
Hmm.
And again, I mean, it's just everything happens for a reason,
No,
and it's still and
exactly.
it's still happening. I mean, we're in the
We're still
middle right
growing.
now. Like, well, you're 24, you said.
I'm about to be next week. Yeah,
You're
24.
23 right now.
24. Yeah, 23, 24. Yeah,
That's crazy.
yeah.
That's crazy to begin with. I thought you were older than what you are.
No,
I'm
I'm
sure you get that a lot,
24.
right?
I think the way how I talk, yeah.
Right.
But once you kind of like hang out with me and get to know me, like, oh, okay, he's still a little kid.
He's still 24. He's
Yeah,
still
he's still
23.
like 21, maybe. He's partying out, but no, yeah. It's one of those things too because I think as a young age, I always look forward to these like like older, like responsibilities
Hmm.
because even as I mean, I was working at a super young age. I don't really know any friend groups or anyone that worked when they were 6 to 10 years old. Right?
Hmm.
It's child labor.
Right.
And then from then on, I was used to making money from working with my mom because she would also pay me. I'm like, hey, if you're working hard, I mean, here's some money for your toys or whatever you want to spend it on. And had an allowance. Not bad. How like 100, $200, 10 years old. So I was used to that. So at 15, I had a job. No, 16, I had a job, which was I was supposed to, but I worked at a Mexican restaurant.
Hmm.
I have like photos and
Under the table.
I was a cashier.
Okay.
Yeah. And I was people sometimes would ask me like, "Oh, how old are you?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm 18." Or I'm like, "No, I'm 17. I'm about to be 18 though." People were like, "Oh, okay." Yeah, I was I had a little baby face. So I was the receptionist because I was the only one that spoke English and Spanish. All the workers only knew
Spanish.
Spanish,
Yeah.
right? Um, so I would be the baby face, give me everyone's food, and yeah, have a good day. I think that's where I was able to be comfortable talking to people,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that fruition kind of led me to these other opportunities. But yeah, ever since I was 15, I was working, and then I had other jobs. I also worked at Vance,
Shoe store.
the shoe store. That's when I was 18. It was more corporate, part time, and then did that, and went to the city of Carlsbad. And after that, I went full entrepreneurship mode at like 19, 20 years old. But I was always doing something, right? And then just I learned how to reinvest it, put it into something that I know will exponentially grow. And from music, that's where I got into real estate too. one of my biggest inspirations was Nipsey Hussle. I'm
Mm.
sure you know him, right?
Yep.
His hustle, his motive was, I mean, it's kind of bad, but his from his dirty hustles, he then transitioned to real estate. And then as a kid, I'm like, oh, is that the end goal? You know? So I looked. That's how I looked into it, and then I had the opportunity to meet Victor, and then everything just aligned. I'm like, okay,
Mm.
this is destined. I gotta figure it out.
Yep.
You know? But everything led up, all the hard work from being like as a kid, and there was a time when I was a kid too, where I was pretty much an orphan. My dad went back to Mexico, and my mom, uh, she got depressed, and she went back to her mom's. And I was pretty much an orphan for like 3, 4 years. And then my mom would tell me that when she got back to the States, I didn't know how to talk. Like I lost all communication because I was living by myself, like at a very young
Like
age.
legit by yourself.
Yeah, like I learned how to cook, clean, and like take care of myself by myself. And all I had was my cousins, my two cousins. But they would come back later in the day after school because they were older. So I think that between those like that gap, I learned how to become very independent,
Mm.
super young. She came back. She's like, "Yeah, you couldn't talk to me. Like you didn't even know who I was." And I was like, "Oh shit." I don't remember that phase. It
Yeah.
was probably like trauma, right? That already passed by. But I had a certain time where I just learned how to do everything. I probably made like cereals and hot pockets just to live and drink my Capri Suns and have fun with the neighbors. But I don't really remember that period. But she's like, "Yeah, you live on your own pretty much because your aunt would come like in the afternoon and she would see you just in the morning and that's it."
Hmm.
I was like, "Oh damn, that's crazy. I don't remember that."
That's
Yeah.
crazy, but yeah, I mean that adds to your story. I mean, it'll add to like your success in the future. You were very independent at a young
Yeah,
age.
especially an only child, yeah.
Exactly.
Which is kind of cool because I didn't have any responsibility because I'm sure being an older brother. I don't know. Are you an older brother or
I'm the youngest.
you're the youngest?
Yeah.
So you had older brothers that kind of had to mature as well, super young to take care of you guys, right? I'm assuming take you to school, feed you, or I don't know what their position was in your life, but I'm sure at some point, they were looking after you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't have none of that. I didn't
Right.
have no one to look up to or look down to. It's just like, okay, I'm alive.
Hmm.
What else do I do? But I remember as a kid, I loved drawing. And I think that's something that I feel like once I've figured everything out, I want to pursue creativity.
Mm.
Yeah, I feel like I've always had this creative mind, but we'll see.
A thousand ideas a day in your head, and just
Technically,
trying to grasp them and put them into a paper and take action on them.
yeah, whether you draw or sketch. So, cool thing, right? Bring it back real quick. One of our second clients that my mom had for her business. This was I forgot their last names, but they live like down the street. They were friends with the first client we had, and obviously successful family, big house. I mean, 5 bedrooms for like three family members is crazy to me, right? Big house. And at some point I would come, and sometimes the homeowners wouldn't want me to work because I'm like, yeah, this is crazy. Like a 8-year-old working here, with like Kleenex and bleach and all these kind of chemicals. But they would see me and sometimes like, oh, let's take a break and here's a sandwich, go outside and play. And sometimes they would have a pool and I'd be like, having fun while my mom would be working because it's a liability. I'm
Right.
having a kid working. So, but sometimes I would still help my mom. I'd get bored and still scrub the bathtubs or whatever. And at some point, I always ask like, man, what do you guys do? To the homeowners. And I think the wife, she was like a nurse at Scripps Hospital in Encinitas,
Hmm.
and then the husband, he had a really cool job. Because sometimes I would go to his office and I'd see a bunch of these movie posters. I'm like, oh, what do you do? He's like, oh, come to my office. I'm like, okay. And I went inside and he's like, this is what I do. He had this whole like art book full of drawings. I'm like, damn, that's pretty sick. That's what I want to do. And he's like, yeah, I mean, I pretty much he's his own company, but he pretty Disney and Pixar and these other companies would hire him to create movie posters.
Mm.
And that was his position. He's like, yeah, he's pretty much said, yeah, I make a lot of money.
An illustrator, like a movie. Graphic designer.
like like an artist, graphic designer, and he had like these big computers, and it would be like 3D models. I'm like, yeah, this is how we create everything, and he would show me like different examples of past work that he's done. Mostly Disney and mostly like small movie productions that he would do too. But he was getting to the big leagues, right? And that's where I also sparked the idea because he told me everything. He's like, yeah, I went to the army and then I had an accident. I was a truck driver. I was making decent money, but I was also miserable and I took the action. So there was a lot of, just because I didn't have these siblings or these close people in my life, I had a lot of role models.
Hmm.
And from those role models, I mean, everything just started to click. Like, okay, he's an entrepreneur. He's able to, you know, build a service that ultimately brings value to other people.
Hmm.
Um, and he had really cool stories too. He's like, yeah, like when I was at war, like two of my best buddies like died in front of me, stuff like that, right? And then he got depressed, and then he was a truck driver, and then that's when he's like, you know what, I'm just gonna pursue what I love.
Drawing.
Yeah. And this was me as a kid. I'm like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
like that's cool, but I don't know what's going on. I don't know what, didn't really know what death was. I'm just like, oh well, he's gone.
Yeah.
But then it clicked like years later. I'm like, oh, I remember he told me this and this and this. This must have been a very sensitive topic, and now he was able to. I think with a lot of people, bro, in their lowest moments in their life, that's when they make that transition. Be like, you know what? It's time to take a step.
When their back is up against the
Yeah,
wall.
and then you see your parents like, okay, maybe when they came to this country, there probably something bad was happening. You never know, right? Maybe like divorce or financial issues
A
or
breakup.
just breakups, divorce, and you're like, you know what? I'm gonna move myself out of this bubble. I'm gonna go to this other place just to help this bubble out and help myself out, and then from then on, it's game.
Hmm.
You know, um, I think same thing with a lot of successful people too. They go to these really low moments, and they're like, you know what? You got to figure it out.
They don't
Yeah,
want to be in that position for the rest of their lives.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, dude, beautiful story. I know we're getting to the end of the podcast right now. I got a few more minutes,
sure.
but anything else that you want to share? I definitely do want to share what you do right now currently, but anything else that you want to share about your family? Any shout outs? Any family stories that you did want to.
Yeah, I think I've gone really close to my family these past few years, right? Because I've always been by myself. So I've never really had that family connection, right? Especially the holidays. It would just be like a dinner and that's it. But nowadays, there was this moment where my dad had a stroke, and it's kind of shitty. Excuse my language. It was kind of, it wasn't very pleasing seeing your dad almost dead on the floor, right? And you're like, oh shit. So, you kind of have to take for granted what you have in life. And from then on, I was able to get closer with them and my other family members. Now we get together more often. But entrepreneurship side, right? It's taking a step back sometimes just to move forward a couple more steps.
Hmm.
Now I'm pacing myself a little bit more on different areas of my life, personal, business, health, and everything else. Because at the end of the day, I mean, life's really short. You know,
So short.
it's super short. I mean, next day you never know who's gonna be here, right? So, I've been really close with my family. I'm really appreciative, and I've gotten closer with God like the past year. So with him, um, my belief has been stronger. I think everything else has been stronger as well. Um, with that, I think with religion, with belief, and with how everything's going in life, you want to look back. And that's why I'm really appreciative for this podcast, bro. It opened my mind. I'm like, damn, I didn't really know because what I'm doing right now makes a lot of sense because of X and Y,
Mm.
right? And because of what I'm doing right now, I have the ability to showcase other people, right, and be this mentor to other teenagers and kids or people that are older than me. Sometimes they ask me these questions. I'm like, I don't know. I'm just gonna figure it out. But what I do right now, real estate investor, so fix and flips. I do find a lot of opportunities for other investors. So that's where wholesaling comes in. I have a marketing business in what's based at Argentina.
Mm.
Cool thing, right? So my business partner's out there. She hit me up randomly through a Discord channel that we met. It was like entrepreneurships only. She's like, yeah, I like what you do, and I want to get into real estate. And then from then on, some things didn't work out, but some things did. And she's like, hey, you know what? I have this niche. where I know a lot of college kids and they're looking for opportunities. I'm like, well, I know a lot of people that are working in real estate and they need more leverage. Secretaries, assistants, administrative work, cold callers. She's like, I got that. So we made it into a business.
Mm,
So now we're able to recruit top talent from Argentina, Southern America, into U.S. companies,
dope.
nonprofits. We've done it one nonprofit in Puerto Rico. We've done construction, roofing, real estate. I mean, all the above, right? So that's where the marketing side works. And I've never met her. She's like
Never met her in
this.
person.
Never met her in person, right? She's just this. I don't even know. She should be fake, you know. Could be an AI robot, but she's amazing, right? And she pretty much handles all the front end, and I handle all the back end. But other than that, I do want to go and more on the I need to post more content. So
Hmm.
I'm trying to get into that, be more, out there. And I do have a lot of crazy stories that I wasn't able to touch base today, but it's really cool to start this initiative with you on this podcast
Yeah.
and see where it goes.
No, man, thank you, bro. I appreciate you coming on, man. I love the story that I've heard so far, and this is just the beginning. This could be part one
Yeah,
of your story, with more to come in the future. I mean, this is just the beginning for you. This is just the beginning for me.
sure,
We'll definitely have a follow up later on.
sure.
Um, Tell people where they can find you on social media, on LinkedIn, your phone number, whatever you want to plug out there, and where they can reach you.
Sure. So I'm pretty active on Instagram. 11 Nava. It's number 11 Nava. The reason for that is because I played sports my entire life, so that was like my number, and I was super proud of it. Right. So it just stuck with me. 'Cause a lot of people ask why, but it just stuck with me. Sports background, and other than that, I'm not really into other social media, but I want to get into YouTube and TikTok.
Mm.
So it'll probably be the same thing. 11 Nava, Edward Nava. Just look up the little brown kid with that does real estate here in San Diego, and I'm sure you'll find me. But no, thank you so much, bro.
No, man, appreciate you guys. This is the Lineage Legacy podcast.